I want to address a very critical, very important, maybe misunderstood um, by Jews and non-Jews, and like a complex idea, which is the idea of the chosen people, the Jews as the chosen nation. I think I was reviewing all the sources. I mean, all the sources is impossible, but a lot of the sources, and um, there's a there's a tension even more and more today about really what's how to understand who the Jews are, how to understand who the non-Jews are, um, and in the middle we have the ones who convert, which is a whole another tension added to that. But let's try with what we have to get a clearer understanding with Hashem's help of what it means that God chose the Jewish people. First of all, we have to understand that since the beginning of time, it seems already that it's clear that when there is a choice made, and it has been the main struggle of the Jews and mankind, whenever there's someone who is chosen or someone who is seen as having a certain quality, all of a sudden there's a war. There's a hate and there's a fight. So we see that right away with Cain and Hevel. Cain killed Hevel, couldn't bear that Hevel's sacrifice was accepted and not his. And God told Cain, actually you can be greater than Hevel. That's why I wanted you to do something, a greater sacrifice. Plus, if we continue again with Yaakov and his sons, the 12 tribes, we had Yosef and the brothers who were fighting, and they were fighting because Yaakov was giving more attention, more love to Yosef than other children. And same thing again and again throughout history. Whenever one is chosen as being, the firstborn, the first, having a special quality, there's hatred coming. And interestingly, the only time where we see a total acceptance of this difference of two people is actually Ephraim and Menashe. And that's why we bless our children that should be like Ephraim and Menashe. So Ephraim and Menashe are two children who accepted their difference and celebrated. I mean, they didn't celebrate per se, but so to speak, celebrate their own and unique path, and didn't fight each other, didn't hate each other. And that's what Yosef understood. That even though he had to go through everything he had to go against his brothers, he was able to bring children who understood that perfect balance. So it doesn't make sense in the first place that God would choose one people because you're good and you're not good, so you're the best, too bad for the other. Every children who will have his father say that in front of him will feel hate towards his other brother and towards his parents. It cannot be that God, who is all loving and just and fair, would create a tension in the world that from him, a tension from God that will make nations jealous of each other. And therefore we need to put more clarity into the matter. Let's be clear. Originally, and that's written in the Ramchal, I have it right here. Originally, there was never supposed to be 70 nations. They were not supposed to be split between all. There was never supposed to be many nations. There were supposed to be one huge people, one huge nation, all coming from Adam, one big huge family called Israel. Okay? And we were all living on the same state, on the same spiritual level. However, let's understand that God gave us free choice, and the power of free choice enables us to decide which state we're going to want to live in. You can choose to live on a state that is very spiritual, or you can choose to live on a state that is very physical. God said, whatever you want to choose, but accept the consequence. Accept that your quality is going to be this one, and your quality is going to be this one. So, when Adam Arishon sinned, the whole world fell down from a very high spiritual level, and then, because the world is made for repentance, because the world is made for using our free choice to be able to make some effort on our own and earn our relationship with God, or earn our own reward for the world to come, then we're free to choose what we want. And so that's how the new Jewish nation was born. First one was Avraham, who lift himself up from all the nations and became the first convert, Jewish convert, and God put him as the one of the root of the reconnecting him to Adam Arishon's level and enabling the world to be elevated. The whole world needed to be elevated. The whole world needed to go back to the level of Adam Arishon. In Kabbalah, everybody says that we are trying to go back to Gan Eden, so to speak, to the state of consciousness, of spirituality that were in Gan Eden. And for that, there was a need for a leader. And those were the Jewish people. Those were and anybody could have been these Jewish people. Jewish people are not the Jews, so to speak. They were never Jews. The Jews came to be because of Avram, and because of the people after Avram who decided to join force and eventually be part of the people called the Hebrews, who went to Egypt, and they understood the path that Avram had taken, and they decided to accept the Torah. Let's remember that God had put among all the nations very wise people, very spiritual people. The Ramchal says some of them who they were: Chanoch, Mesushelach, Shem, and Ever, Noach, obviously, and what happened is that God had sent therefore prophets all over the nation, and anybody who wanted could have, any nations as a group, as a power, group of people, was able to become the chosen people, so to speak, and become part of the Israeli mission, so to speak. So it doesn't mean that Israel is better in the sense that I'm best and you're bad. It means that in the quality that you have been chosen for, and it says clearly that the Jewish people were not chosen because they are the best, not because they're the richest, not because they're most beautiful. They were chosen because they had the quality that Abraham had, which is the quality of chesed, of love, a desire to elevate the world, to come close to God more than any others. And when you have that quality, that desire, that therefore you have able to emulate God, and basically Israel emulate Avraham and try now to elevate the world. And that's what happened when there were 70 souls. The 70 souls of Jewish people went to Egypt. Why were there 70 souls? Because there were 70 nations. And therefore, the Jews are the micro of the non-Jews, who was the macro. Everything that happened within Jewish people is a reflection, or everything that happens in the world is a reflection of what happened within the Jewish people. That's why the Jewish people are held responsible for everything. The Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan brings Sefer Hasidim and the Rambam and a few places. He explains that there's a mutual responsibility between the Jews, but there's a responsibility between the Jews, from the Jews to the world. Each Jew's moral responsibility extends beyond the Jewish people to the entire human race. as moral corruption in any place affects the entire world. It is for this reason that Jonah was sent to correct the people of Nineveh, even though theirs was a pagan city. So the Jews have been chosen because they have, for their special quality of loving and spirituality, and they have their own specific mission. It doesn't mean that we have to look down on non-Jews. It doesn't mean that the non-Jews are bad people, and it doesn't mean that that whatever relation we have is a relationship of confrontation, of competition. The moment competition comes is the death. That's how it happens. The death of both. That's how it works in a couple. And in Kabbalah, very often, the Jewish people are represented as the husband of the nation. So I want to show in a few examples what I'm saying, so it's more clear. When you have the challah, right? You have challah, the dough, which to make bread, and there's a special mitzvah to take challah. So I take a piece from it, I make a blessing, take a piece, and that becomes reserved for the temple, for the Kohanim, to be eaten at the time of the temple. Today we just burn it, but the challah, the dough cannot be eaten until the challah has been taken. Now the challah has a very special, unique thing, which is given by to a whole holier purpose, so to speak. However, the dough, and we're able to eat the dough. Without the challah, there's no dough. Without dough, there's no challah. Without the Jewish people, there's no nations. Without the nation, there's no Jewish people. It works hand in hand. So we'll say, what's more important, the challah or the dough? Neither. Who is more important? The firstborn of the children or the others? Where if there's no many children, there will be never a firstborn. If it's just a firstborn, there's no firstborn, it's the only one. What's more important? Adam or Eve? Eve was taken from Adam. What does that mean? That Eve is lower? Which is what happened in a way, the way people understood. Oh, Eve is an extension of man, therefore she's lower, she's taken from me. What if I took your head out of you? Would that be that Eve is lower, if Eve is the head, or Eve is the heart? It changes everything. What was taken from us? And the struggle with the people today in marriage is that one thinks he's better than the other. No, it's a different quality. You have the heart, you have the brain, you have, actually according to the Zohar, in Kabbalah, it says the woman is the soul and the man is the body. So what's greater? Is the soul greater than the body, or the body greater than the soul? Yes, the soul has a unique quality that is powerful, but the soul cannot exist in the physical world and cannot do any mitzvot in this world, and cannot be challenged to grow in this world without the body. The soul needs the body needs the soul. And he says actually eventually they're going to become one. The body is going to transform into something spiritual. And that's where we're talking about the Jewish people and the non-Jewish people. It's supposed to be like a body and soul relationship. Yes, Israel is unique in its quality of being leader, of being spiritual, of elevating the world, of fixing the world through the power of Torah and the mitzvahs. The non-Jewish people have their own unique quality, and they are meant to become partners with Israel meaning supporting Israel in that mission, but not here to compete who is greater than the other. Again, let's continue with some example. We have Adam coming from Adamah. Is the earth more important than man, or man more important than the earth? They're both important. If there was no world, no Adamah, there would be no man to work the world. Therefore, there would be no purpose. The same thing with the Bikurim, the fruits. You have the fruit and you have the first fruit that need to be brought to the Beit HaMikdash, the Bikurim, also the first. The Bikurim are very important, and then one cannot eat the fruits unless we do celebrate the Bikurim. So there's many. Another thing that we can say is also Israel on itself. In Israel, you have Israel, 3 levels: Israel, Cohen, Levi, Israel. So Cohen has a special thing. Aaron Cohen, Moshe actually was supposed to be Cohen, and he lost his space. Moshe Rabbeinu. It's like Moshe Rabbeinu became. I'm afraid to say the words, but just as a mashup to understand, Moshe Rabbeinu became like a goy, and Aaron Cohen became Israel in their avoda of what it's supposed to be. Originally, Moshe Rabbeinu was supposed to be Cohen, and Aaron was supposed to be the Levi, or at least maybe just follow like Moshe Rabbeinu, be a Cohen too. But there was a switch. There was a Levi, and the Levi has its own level, and then there's Israel. So you have the three levels. Who is greater? Who is a greater Jew? A Cohen, Levi, or Israel? There's no greater. One has a unique, specific function to work as a Cohen Gadol in the temple and making something so holy. But if there's no Israel, there's no need for Cohen. And there's no Levi, there's no need for Cohen, there's no Levi. It's all interconnected. Therefore, we have to understand that in the same way, the Cohen, Levi, Israel are really, they're not on the same spiritual level because they have their own unique mission and path. But it doesn't mean that one is greater than the other in the bigger picture, in the picture of what's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is that we all one, we work all together. And we can see already from the way we speak about the end of time, when Moshiach is going to come, the role of Moshiach is going to try to recreate that bridge between Israel and the nation, realize that we are here to work together in completing the world, elevating mankind. The role of the Jewish people is to be role models, elevate mankind to go back to the level of Adam in Gan Eden. So the nations have unique qualities also that Israel doesn't have. The quality maybe in music, maybe quality in philosophy or in mathematics, but Israel has its own unique quality, which is greater than the nations when it comes to Torah and spirituality. And each one cannot be as great as the other in its own thing. And that's what Cain had a hard time. Cain, you can be greater than Hevel in your own path. And Hevel also. And that's the whole struggle. Love your neighbor as yourself. The only way to love your neighbor is to realize that he's unique and you need him. Even when we speak about the Torah and the 70 interpretations, all interpretations have their own unique level and different from each other. The student from Akiva who all died is because they missed the respect of the other's interpretation, even though the other interpretations were based on Rabbi Akiva, the teacher, and each one holds that's the truth, but they're different path for the same understanding, for the different path for the same truth. So we have to understand that this is really, really important to understand, and we should not make the mistake to feel greater in general. We are greater in our own mission, but we're not greater in humanhood. Ve'afta l'recha kamocha applies to everyone, Jews and non-Jews. Like yourself, the level of love has to be the same as the other. That means the level of respect has to be the same. However, each one, a Jew and a non-Jew, have to stand strong on their position of their mission, and that's what they are best at, and not try to compete, because that's the destruction of the world again. It says also, interestingly, that at the end of time, the temple is going to become a place, a house of prayer for all the nation. Right, in Zephaniah, right, the house of Israel is going to be a house of prayer for all the nations. It doesn't say that the Beit HaMikdash is going to become the temple of Israel. It doesn't say that it's going to be, only for Israel. No, the temple is going to be a house of prayer for everyone. That means that we're all going to be praying all there together. So that's the mission of the Jew is to make that happen, to create that unity. So the danger is assimilation. A Jew become a non-Jew, or a non-Jew become a Jew. We don't want that. That's why the intermarriage is very dangerous, because it's not good. It's destroying is destroying what a Chinese is destroying what an African is destroying what Japanese is destroying what a Jew is destroying what a Spanish is destroying what a French is. No, we need French. We need Spanish. We need German. We need English. We need Jews the way they are. And if the moment we intermarry, although it's fine, you could by non-Jews, you could intermarry because their mission are more connected to each other. But as Jews and non-Jews, the intermarriage is impossible, because then you're misunderstanding the whole purpose of creation. That's why it's such a big thing. If the violinist become a piano player, where is going to be the violinist in the orchestra? So we need really to understand that God is running the world and is the maestro, and we need to have that perfect harmonious balance. But each one has to keep his own place and be proud of his own place, but not by looking down at the other, by celebrating the other's quality. And the Jews have to celebrate the non-Jews' unique qualities, like I say, art, music, science, mathematics, and the non-Jews have to celebrate the Jews' quality of bringing the word of God in the world, the authentic word of God, through Torah and the guidance by learning also the seven mitzvot of non-Jews. The non-Jews have 7 commandments. They will know how to also be productive in this world and spiritual and close to God, and that will be the perfect thing. So that's the real deeper meaning of in my understanding, to the best of my understanding, of the chosen people. And people have to accept chosen people. It's like someone choose a president. Okay, it doesn't mean that he's better than you. No, it means that the people chose him to do the job which a president is supposed to do. And he's not greater than you. He can sometimes they're a bit corrupted, but he might run the country better than you because he has no idea how to run the country. And there's always people who runs. The president should do this and the president should do that. You don't even know how to run a country. If you knew to be in that position, there's no more pressure. Can't have more pressure than that. Everybody watching you and pushing you and giving advice. And it must be terrible. And in a way, every little Jew every Jew is like a little president. You have to understand we have a responsibility to lead the world spiritually and give him a direction. And the moment you look down on your people, the president looks down on the Americans, on his own, whatever president it is, but look down on its own people and doesn't love them, doesn't do it for the sake of becoming a greater unity, greater nation, then we're not able to connect to God, and we destroy each other. The whole thing is wasted. So that's what I want to share. I hope it gave you clear understanding and not more confusion. And may we all be able to respect each other, love each other, and be proud of our greatness and be proud of the other's greatness and recognizing each other's greatness, so we can live together like a husband and wife. I want to give that last thought. I was debating if I should give it, but I think it's a good thought to have. The reason why Adam and Eve were taken from each other, to speak, why didn't God do it from the beginning? Because we had to understand that we were taken from God. God was everything. God took a piece from everything and made it the world, galaxies, the universe, who we are. But there will be no God per se, meaning God to recognize, God to make king, without the world. The world is what enables to make God king. So the world, in a way, is as important as God, but it's not it doesn't exist without God either. If you understand what I'm saying, it's again, we're not speaking about better or not, but it means that they match each other on some level. There's the essence and the root, and then there's the branches, like a tree, and that's how the souls work, and the descendants. You have the tree, so the trunk. Yeah, great. We have a trunk, and then we have the branches and have the fruits. But if you don't have branches or no fruits, the trunk has no purpose. If you have branches but no trunk, it cannot work. It cannot exist. So that's the same thing with the Jewish people and the world, and the different levels of all the people living on earth. That they're branches and there's trunk, and that we need to understand that we need each other, and one cannot live without the other. So instead of killing each other, we should need and hate each other. We should learn to love each other, understand we need each other. We live out of each other. We have a purpose because of each other. Even the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, only exists for the purpose of good. If not for good, there'll be no evil inclination. If not for evil inclination, there'll be no good. Meaning that the whole purpose of evil, darkness, and evil inclination is to challenge us to become greater and to grow. So even the darkness is light. And at the end of time, that's when we recognize that everything really is light, everything is God, and that really there's a total unity. The only difference is that we'll all be shining in a different light based on what our righteousness and our choices. So this is what I wanted to share. I hope it made sense to you, and I'm sure it goes much deeper. Oh, I had to mention one last thing. Sorry, this is so important about the end of time. It says that the Beit HaMikdash, the temple, is going to be transformed into Jerusalem, and Jerusalem is going to be transformed into Israel, and no, Israel is going to be transformed into Jerusalem, and that the whole world is going to be transformed into the level of Eretz Israel. Meaning that the whole world will be Israel, like it was meant to be at the beginning. But within Israel, there's also the Ken Levi Israel, so there will be also like the Jewish people on their level and the non-Jews on their level, but it will be a whole harmonious thing. And that's so even from those deep Kabbalistic understanding, we can understand that everybody is going to be elevated, and there's going to be a certain type of unity that we can't wait to see, because then everybody is going to feel at its place. The happiest person is the person who understands exactly where he stands, what's his mission, what's his greatness. The moment he starts comparing, he misunderstands that what true happiness is. He misunderstands that you are best at what you do, and he's best at what you do, and we need each other, and that's it. And so, yeah, you're greater, but because you're only greater in this quality, in the other quality, you're not greater. So we have to understand that we're greater in our own quality, but not as a competition to the other one, because the other one, there's no competition if you compare apples and bananas. If you compare apples and bananas, the apple is not greater than the banana. The banana is not an apple. There's nothing to compare with. The apple is the best at being an apple. The banana is the best at being a banana, and that's the same thing as mundane or simple that example is. This is really what the world is about. We all fruits, and we all need to be in the fruit salad, so to speak, and taste each other, love the other's unique qualities. So I hope that we can all live in harmony with each other and make the world a better place. Let's change the world together.